Alright guys, so today I'm gonna start painting my pot using the Underglazes. So if you got your Western Glaze project pack, you should have like 12 colors to choose from. Feel free to choose whatever colors you want for this. I personally want to use red, and I'm gonna mix it with some brown to kind of like get like a reddish brown color. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some of this out, and obviously like one little container will probably just be enough for this, but I think if you want to use more color, maybe recommend that you get 2 of these. That way you have enough. So I'm gonna add a little bit of water, just get like all that out into this container so I could mix it. Get most of it out. Now the underglaze might be a little chunky, so it just means that it needs water. And underglazes could be mixed, so that's the good thing about this. Okay, now I'm gonna do the next one. Get some of that brown. Alright. Alright, so just gonna pour a tiny bit of water. If my underglaze is really chunky, then yeah, I need to do this. And then just mix it up. So now I'm getting more like a reddish brown color, similar to kind of what you see in the Moche pots. Mix it thoroughly so it's not that chunky. Okay, that looks about good. I'm just gonna squeeze out all that color. Alright, now that I got my color, I can start glazing. Now also it helps if you have like some soft bristle brushes instead of like the plastic hard ones. They're just gonna like glide a lot better on your project. So get some soft bristle brushes. So, and take the liberty to kind of choose the areas you want to paint. You don't necessarily just have to stick with the lines. In this case I want plenty of color. So I'm just gonna go ahead and start with the base here, and then as I go I'll choose where and how I wanna paint the rest of my designs. I could choose to either just paint the lines, like just do the outlines of these, or I could maybe like choose to paint sort of like the inside of the shapes. You guys take some liberty to choose how you want to go about it, and just be free with it, be creative, don't stress too much about it. Now as far as the dry level of my pot, it's a little bit stiffer. It's like still workable though. Like all I could do now, I can't really alter the form anymore, like if I squeeze it, but all I could do now is carve into it. It's at the point where it's like a hard leather hard stage. where all I could do is carve into it. Now generally, as far as how many coats you need to put on there, normally you need like about two to three coats. So like after this dries, I would go over it again for a second coat. And sometimes you could sort of like see, if you see like the clay color through the underglaze, then you might need another coat. So I'm just gonna take some time, paint over this, and then I'll get back to you guys to see what it looks like. Okay guys, so you can see what I got so far. You know, just kind of like on these staying inside the lines, you know, using the brush. For the fine line here, I used a fine line brush. But yeah, just take it little by little. Okay, so here's what I have so far. I have more of my lines filled in, you know, and some of the shapes are also filled in. So carefully with the brush, you know, just paint over the line. That way, you know, you have a nice clean line. And again, just little by little, take your time. If you mess up, you could always scrape it off. Also careful as you handle the, you know, your pot. What I like to do sometimes is I like to place it on a sponge if I'm kind of like leaning it, because you know this could still break. You know, it's not completely dried, it's not bone dry at all, but you still have to be careful, especially with your attachments, that you don't knock them off. So just keep going, take your time. All right, so here, you know, I have pretty much most of my designs filled in. The outlines also painted on, so this is looking about done. I'm also gonna add color to my little dogs, as you might want to call it. So I'm gonna do these a different color, that way there's like contrast between like the reddish brown of my designs, the bottle, and then the little animals. So I'm gonna paint them a different color, maybe like a dark brown or black. Just to show you what I did, I took some of that extra color that I had left over. You know, I had some left over. I did pour some back into the brown container, and then just added a little bit of black into this to mix it up, and I got like a nice really dark brown color, which is what I'm gonna use to color my dogs. So after it's all mixed, I could go ahead and start painting these guys. Yeah, so I'm just gonna do it carefully until they're all done. So I'll be back. All right, so I'm pretty much about done doing the painting with the underglazes. So here is pretty much my finished product. So you know, I've painted in some of the shapes, filled them in, also some of the lines, and then also my animals, and just pretty much, you know, like put designs and color throughout my pot. The parts that do not have any color, when the clay fires, they'll be kind of like a off-white or maybe like beige kind of color, so you can kind of like get a sense for the contrast between your colors. So you don't necessarily have to, you know, cover the entire pot with color. It's totally up to you if you want to, though. If you want to like paint it all with one base color and then go over with your designs, totally up to you on how you want to approach this. But just so that you know, the bare clay will be like a brownish tan color, depending on the clay. So just so you know what to expect. So yeah, so there it is. Now that I'm pretty much done with this, I'm not gonna completely let it dry. Remember, you guys are actually gonna bring these to campus to get them fired, so I want to keep these sort of leather hard as much as possible instead of bone dry, because bone dry work is gonna be extremely fragile. So I'm still gonna keep these bagged up, and then later on you're gonna want to box it up with some, you know, like towels, so it doesn't move around when you bring it over to school. The next step now is going to be to photograph this. So I'm going to do another video on how to photograph your work, so you could put it on your document for submission. So there you go, painted with underglaze. Alright guys, take your time, be patient and careful, and if you mess up, you're always able to go back and fix those mistakes. Alright guys, go for it. We'll see you later.